All right, what's up guys? Today we're gonna be going over my toolbox setup here and why I think it's the best setup you can have if you're the average like DIYer that's gonna be building things, fixing things, modifying things and whatnot. And especially if you're like an avid outdoorsman like me, this is pretty much the best setup you can have because you're always gonna have to be modifying and tinkering with your vehicle and doing maintenance and everything like that. So let's just get into it here. All right, so the toolbox itself is a US General toolbox from Harbor Freight. This is the 5-drawer model, and it's pretty good. I've had it for a couple years now, and it's done just fine, and it's pretty much the cheapest toolbox you can get, honestly. So if you're just starting out, really, this is where you want to start, and this is where you want to go. You want to spend as little money as you can on a toolbox and more money on actual tools here to fill it with. It holds plenty of tools for the average person, and especially for somebody just starting out, I would definitely go this way and fill it up here before you go and get a bigger box or a more expensive box. So for me, the whole reason I bought a toolbox was so I can organize my tools neatly and efficiently, and that way I know exactly where everything is and I'm able to grab it really fast and I'm able to put everything back and nothing gets lost or, you know, misplaced. And this toolbox is really nice because it's got specific spots for all the screwdrivers. So if you notice, I've got all my slotted screwdrivers here and I've got all my Phillips head screwdrivers all right here. Neatly organized, ready to go. I've got the exact amount as the amount holes I have too, so it works out perfectly. And then I've got all my sockets and all my ratchets right here, right on top, ready to go on these rails where everything's organized. I know the exact size by number, you know, and I'm able to grab it and use it and put it back really easily without losing stuff. So what I did for my screwdrivers, as you can see, if you shake the box, they don't go clicking and clacking like they do on most of the people's boxes. And it's because I put this little piece of foam in there and cut it out. So then whenever I go to put something in it, you know, it goes right in there, cinches down. And then, like I said, you can move this box all over the place and they're not gonna go clicking and clacking into each other, which, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but for me personally, it just bugs me. So I like them all standing nice and straight, you know, ready to go. And then I've got them organized. I've got them organized from, here's the Phillips. I've got them 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and I've got the short ones up front. So if I need a short one, I can just grab it like that. Or if I need a really long one, I know to go to the back, grab the real long ones there. And that way it just makes it super easy to grab. Nothing gets lost. I know exactly where everything is, you know. I like the top being pretty open. I keep my ratchets. I keep a 10mm ready to go because with my Toyota truck, this is the most common thing I'll ever use. I always keep stuff that you need, like a Sharpie. You always need thread locker, putting on bolts and whatnot. You always need a razor blade to cut things or to scrape things. You know, a tape measure, just basic stuff basically you're always going to need. And then, of course, don't forget your eye protection. Very, very important, and most people don't use it, to be honest. And I've seen some terrible things happen. Also, electrical tape. I keep Sharpies and markers back there and just like random things. Back here on my screwdrivers, I've got a Cobalt bit driver that I got from a kit for Christmas or something like that one year. And I've got all my bits there for it. It comes with a bunch of different bits you can use. That thing comes in handy for certain things. Let's see, I've got this thing I've got from Japan. That's a Japanese industrial standard screwdriver bit because they're a little bit different than a regular Phillips head. And so sometimes for Japanese vehicles, you need that. And then I've got all my Tecton screwdrivers here, which are really nice, American-made, real nice screwdrivers there. I really like those and recommend them highly. Over here, I've got my Pry Bars by Tecton, same thing. Really nice quality. I've beat on those plenty, and they're doing just fine. Really like those. I'd recommend to you guys, if you can, buy American-made tools or buy old tools. Like you can see right here, these Craftsman ratchets are from like, I couldn't even tell you when, but they're old, maybe 80s, 90s, something like that. And these things are built very well, and they work much better than the newer Cobalt ratchets, which I also have, which is kind of funny. The newer ones don't work nearly as well as the old ones. Go figure. But next, we're basically just going to go through the box. So I've already gone through the top with you guys. Other than that, I've got a little conversion chart that they gave me. That's nice for when you have bolts or screws that might be different sizes, whatnot. You can kind of compare if you need a longer one or bigger one, this kind of stuff. But basically we'll just go through the toolbox here. So this first drawer is the biggest drawer that's nice and wide and deep. And so you don't really have much of a choice but to put pliers in here. All of your pliers, pinchers, nippers, all this kind of stuff. This is what I've got in here because this is basically the only place they fit where you can have them standing up. And I've got this little rack, which I also got from Harbor Freight, and that keeps them all nice and standing up. So I've got all my little, little things, wire cutters, little pliers right here. I've got some electrical stuff so I can cut wire and crimp butt connectors and all that kind of stuff, pull fuses, scissors. You always need scissors for stuff. You always need pliers to grab on stuff. And then I've got a pair of split ring pliers back here. Those come in handy every now and then. You'll need to remove split rings from ball joints and this kind of stuff, suspension parts and whatnot. So in this first drawer on the left, I've got extra ratchets and all the extensions that go along with the ratchets. And so like I was saying, the most important thing, or the most commonly used thing you're going to use, is going to be your ratchets and your sockets. So then if you need an extension for those, or if you need like a universal joint like one of these guys to get into a tight space, I've got those right in the first drawer, real accessible, ready to go. And I've got them organized into these little boxes here based on the drive. So it's really easy to grab, and then you could just throw those back whenever you're done using them. Good to go. So now the second drawer down is going to be my Allen wrenches and adjustable wrenches. And you can see I've got, well, I usually have 3 sizes. I don't know where the middle size went, but I usually have a 6-inch, a 8-inch, and then a 12-inch here. And those guys, between those, you'll pretty much get anything done you need to get done. And a lot of times you need 2, because a lot of times you need one on one side, one on the other, when you're tightening or loosening something. And then I've got these Bondis Allen key wrenches, and these guys are awesome. This is the best brand you'll ever get, pretty much. Really high quality American made Allen wrenches, and torque wrenches too. They make torque wrenches as well, and they're really high quality. I've never had one strip anything or anything like that. And these have that ball end too, so you can get in at like a little bit of an angle onto the bolt or nut, and it won't strip it out or anything like that. And so those are really nice. After having really good Allen wrenches, man, it's hard to go use like a crap cheapy pair that you get. I'm always worried about it. And then up here, I've just got random little micro screwdrivers and stuff. I've used these like maybe one time my whole life. I rarely, if ever, do anything that small. But that's just a good place to put them, where they just weren't in the way and they're just all kind of shoved up. And then I've got a couple nut drivers. And nut drivers are something where I barely, if ever, use them. I've only got a 9mm, a 10mm, and 11mm, and even then I never use them. So don't really need them for most of the time. And also, you can actually use this bit driver right here and put a attachment onto it for sockets, and then you can put whatever size socket you want. So that's kind of a nut driver that's any size you want. So I kind of do it that way most of the time anyways. Now the first big drawer here is going to be the wrenches, and it's kind of like the plier situation, where this is basically just where they have to go because this is where they fit the best. And I've got here just the cheap Harbor Freight wrenches, and I've never had any problems with them, at least yet. So yeah, really, honestly, I would just get a big old set of wrenches. I would do metric and standard, honestly. That way you just have them, might as well. They're not that expensive. And then you'll be good to go after that. I've also got these guys, which are pretty cool. These are little mini, they call them midget wrenches here, and they are really, really tiny guys. I'll show you some close-ups on those guys here to see how small they really are. As you can see, they're tiny, tiny little ones, and I actually have used them before on a few things, believe it or not. So even that comes in handy. And you want to buy tools that you think you're going to need, but you don't need to buy a million different things, honestly. You can pretty much do what I do and buy tools as you need them for each individual projects as you go. If you need a small wrench, go buy a small wrench. It's like, if you don't need it, why buy it? Now the bottom drawer of this toolbox is the biggest and the deepest one, and so a lot of guys put power tools in there, like they put all this kind of stuff in there. But for me personally, I grab that stuff and use it so much, I just like to have it on the bottom where I could just grab it, throw it back in, kind of thing. And I don't really need it to be locked up or anything. But if you did need it to be locked up, this would be where to put it. But I go ahead and I put all my hammers. I put everything in here for like pounding, drilling, sanding. I've got some files in here, a bunch of different hammers for different various purposes. I mean, to be honest, most of the time you could just use a regular hammer for like 99% of things. But these are good if you're doing body work on cars or this kind of stuff. Claw hammer for getting nails out. You sometimes want a rubber mallet so you're not going metal to metal on certain things. This one's pretty cool to me. This one's kind of sentimental because it came out of my dad's old race truck. If you guys didn't know, my dad used to race Class 8 trophy trucks in Baja and whatnot. And yeah, that came out of his old truck. But then I've got just random drill bits, big old hole saw bit. big chisels for sometimes you'll need to pound on something and split it or something like that. Then in the bottom, like I already mentioned, this is where I keep all my power tools like drills, impact guns. I have a little vacuum here. Vacuum up inside your car or something like that, you know. And then I've got my nice Tecton torque wrenches. These guys are awesome. These guys are worth their weight in gold. Especially if you're trying to do things legit and do things by the book. You can set them exactly how much torque you want. Go ahead and get those bolts done properly. And last but not least, I've got the side area here, which I don't really put much on, honestly. I just put a couple of things I use a lot, like brake cleaner. And then these guys, well, I actually don't use those very often, but if you're doing brakes, any season, whatnot, dry lock lube, this stuff is really good stuff to put in your ignition for your keys or for your doors. Keep your keys going in nice and easy and that kind of thing. But I don't really, as you can tell, I don't really like a bunch of crap on my box, hanging off my box, bolting on my box. You know, I mean, really, this is it. Is this thing that I've got, and that's kind of just there for, like, so I can throw a few bolts in while I'm working on something, or you could throw a thing of gloves or something like that. And then I like my tray here. This tray is essential for when you're working on stuff. You can put your tools here for what, if you're working on a project, you can take tools, and then all your tools for that project can be on this little tray. That way you can keep everything nice and neat, nice and organized. And, you know, the more organized you guys stay, the more projects you're going to get done, the faster you're going to work. It's just going to be much better. That's why the whole thing of the toolbox makes everything so good. All right, now I'm going to go over some of my favorite tools, or the tools that I use the most that I think are the best. So I was wondering about these things for a long time, these electric Milwaukee ratchets. And after using one for like a year now, honestly, this thing's pretty badass. It works pretty damn good. I can't even lie. It makes things super fast, especially like what I'll do sometimes is tear down furniture pieces for the hardware and whatnot, things like that. And if you're at a junkyard or you're ripping things down or something like that, these things just, man, you could just get stuff done so fast with them. Really like those. One of my favorites is a pair of scissors my grandpa gave me. That's a Japanese brand that's called Kona Cut. These ones are really nice, just really nice scissors. Something where, I don't know, I just never had a nice pair of scissors till I got these, and then now that I got them, it's like, man, that makes a difference actually, cutting with good stuff. These are, this is another favorite pair of pliers from Nipix. This is made in Germany. These ones are really nice. These are the Nipix Cobra, and just really high quality. My brother got me these, and my brother's a professional, well, works on power poles and whatnot, and these are no joke. These things work really well. Really like those. Of course, I've got, do like this drawer with all my adjustable wrenches. These are all, most of my adjustable wrenches are Crestalloy, Crescent brand Crescent wrenches. And I like those too. These are really nice. I was always used to shitty Crescent wrenches, and they kind of never work right. They're always slipping off, you know, they adjust too much, you know, stuff like that. But these ones just seem to work really well. So I like those a lot. These, I know I talked about these before, these Allen wrenches, but man, these are like the best Allen wrenches you'll ever get. This Bondis brand that Adam Savage from Mythbusters recommended those, and I got those, and it's like, man, I'll never go back, because these things are just, they work so good, and they have the little ball end, so you can get in stuff at a little bit of an angle and still get a good turn on it, and I really like those. Those things work real well. Here's another important tool I think everybody should own, is a pair of flush cutters. So they're just like a regular pair of cutters, except they're angled to where you can cut right up against something. Like you could see, I could cut something right off and not damage whatever you're actually up against. And they're really good for cutting zip ties, so you can get that little end piece all the way cut down to the base, so it's nice and clean. So it's more of like a precision tool, really good for craftsmen, and if you're trying to make things look good, honestly, something like this you really need. Here's another one that my grandpa gave me, and I don't know what they're originally for or what he used them for, but for me, they're perfect for pinching fuses, because they have these little hooks on there, and if you notice, the fuses a lot of times for your truck have the little lip there, and you can really just get a good grip and pull those things right out, you know. So these ones are really nice too. No idea what they're originally for, like I said, but good pair if you ever find something similar to that. All right, guys, well, that's it for this video. Go ahead, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. If you got any better ideas for organization or how I could be better off with this toolbox, go ahead and leave a comment down below, guys. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.